The way people think about money often reveals much about their circumstances, ambitions, and the opportunities available to them. The difference between how poor people and rich people approach financial matters is more than a matter of dollars and cents. It's a reflection of mindset, education, and experience. To truly understand why poor people tend to dwell on money itself, while the wealthy focus on assets, we must explore the forces that shape these perspectives and how they influence life's choices, opportunities, and outcomes. Imagine life from the perspective of someone struggling to make ends meet. Every day is a balancing act, with bills, groceries, and rent competing for limited resources. The paycheck arrives, and before it's spent, the calculations begin. What must be paid first? What can be postponed? Can anything be saved for emergencies? For those living paycheck to paycheck, money is a lifeline. It's the means to survival, the gatekeeper to basic needs, and the barrier that often stands between hope and despair. In this world, money isn't abstract. It's immediate, tangible, and above all, scarce. Because of this scarcity, people in poverty are forced to think about money constantly. Every decision, from buying a loaf of bread to filling a prescription, is colored by the question, can I afford this? Dreams and ambitions take a back seat to necessity. The future is shrouded in uncertainty, and long-term planning seems impossible when the present demands all one's attention. The focus, naturally, is on the immediate, on how to stretch each dollar, on how to make it through another week. Money in this context is not a tool for growth. It's a shield against hardship. Contrast this with the mindset of the wealthy. For those who have accumulated wealth, money is seldom the primary concern. Instead, their attention shifts toward assets, things that hold or increase in value over time. Assets can be real estate, stocks, businesses, intellectual property, or even networks of relationships. These are things that generate income, appreciate, and create new opportunities. The wealthy think in terms of investments, cash flow, and long-term growth. Their focus is not on how to earn more money per hour, but on how to make their money work for them. This difference in thinking isn't merely about having more money. It's a product of education, exposure, and experience. For many wealthy individuals, financial literacy is a skill learned early, often passed down through families or acquired through mentors and networks. They learn to view money as a tool, not a goal. They are taught to analyze risks, identify opportunities, and build portfolios that grow over time. The wealthy understand that assets are the true foundation of lasting prosperity. The cycle, however, often perpetuates itself. Those born into poverty rarely have access to the same financial education or opportunities. Their environment reinforces the idea that money is hard to come by and easily lost. In schools, financial literacy is rarely taught, and conversations about investments or entrepreneurship are absent from the dinner table. Without role models to demonstrate how assets work or mentors to guide ambitious thinking, the cycle of focusing on immediate needs continues. Yet the distinction between thinking about money and thinking about assets is not just about background, it's about mindset. Anyone, regardless of their starting point, can begin to shift their focus. The journey from poverty to wealth often begins with a change in perspective. The realization that financial security lies not in the accumulation of cash, but in the ownership of things that create cash flow and increase in value. Consider the story of someone who breaks free from the limitations of scarcity. At first, they are consumed by the need to earn more money, to pay bills, and to survive. Over time, however, they begin to educate themselves, to read books on personal finance, to seek out mentors, to learn about investing. They save a little, then invest that savings in a small asset, a stock, a piece of equipment for a side business, or a rental property. As their assets grow, so does their confidence. The focus shifts from surviving to thriving, from worrying about every dollar to strategizing about growth. This shift is powerful. When people focus on acquiring assets, they begin to see money differently. Money becomes a means to invest, not just to spend. Instead of asking, how much can I afford? They begin to ask, how can I make my money grow? This is the mindset that leads to generational wealth, to philanthropy, and to the kind of security that allows one to dream bigger. Of course, the journey is not easy. Systemic barriers, such as unequal access to education, discrimination, and the high cost of entry into certain investments, make it difficult for many to escape poverty. But the stories of those who succeed despite these challenges are a testament to the power of changing one's approach. Financial literacy, mentorship, and persistence can help bridge the gap. The difference in thinking is also apparent in how people talk about money. For those struggling, conversations revolve around prices, debts, and expenses. For the wealthy, discussions center on opportunities, investments, and returns. The language itself reflects underlying beliefs and priorities. Ultimately, the lesson is clear. Financial freedom begins with understanding the difference between money and assets. Money can be spent. Assets can be built. Money can be lost. Assets can recover and grow. Money is fleeting, but assets are enduring. This is not to say that those in poverty are to blame for their circumstances. The challenges they face are real and often overwhelming. But the path to prosperity begins with education and a shift in mindset. By learning to think like the wealthy, to focus on assets instead of money, anyone can begin to take control of their financial future. The story of why poor people always think about money while rich people think about assets is not just one of economics. It's a story of hope, transformation, and the power of perspective. It reminds us that the way we think shapes our reality, and that with knowledge and determination, anyone can begin the journey from scarcity to abundance. In the end, it's not just about what you have, it's about how you think. The richest asset of all is a mind open to possibility, willing to learn, and ready to take action. By focusing on building assets, rather than simply chasing money, we can all move closer to a life of financial security and freedom.